Hello everyone, and thank you once again for joining us for this Friday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Dave Percy. I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, hazardous weather graphic. Winds today gusting 40 to 45 miles an hour here along the Arctic coast and creating blizzard conditions here on the west side of the coast with visibilities down to a quarter mile or less, sometimes whiteout conditions. And that's going to continue through tonight and then begin to improve tomorrow. We've got winter weather advisories here through Saturday night for the Kobuk Valley, Koyukuk, Kobuk Valley areas, Ambler, Bettles, on up along the southern slopes of the Brooks Range here, or the southeastern Brooks Range, including Arctic Village, for gusty winds and additional snow, 2 to 4 inches per day, or tomorrow, actually shifting up tonight, and then tomorrow night, and then it's due to end at 6 a.m. Sunday. Otherwise, winter weather advisories also out for the Yukon Delta for tonight and tomorrow here into the lower Yukon Valley and then up across Stebbins and St. Michael and Unalakleet for gusty winds and 1 to 4 inches of snow tonight. And also for the Alaska Range, we've got winter weather advisories out tonight for the winds that continue to gust to 60 miles an hour with another possible 1 to 4 inches of snow. And again, that's out through tonight and should improve tomorrow. And then for the satellite imagery today, you can see system moving northward here, a lot of clouds with it, main low center back in through here. Another one had moved up almost right up Cook Inlet earlier today or late last night, and that's what brought the strong winds into Turnagain Arm, gusts as high as 80 miles an hour at McHugh Creek and anywhere from 40 to 60 miles an hour across the Anchorage area with the higher wind gusts there in the higher elevations. And moisture flowing northward here. Yakutat picked about half an inch of rain during the 12-hour period ending at 3 p.m. this afternoon. About the same falling at Ketchikan. Juneau had about a quarter of an inch, so not really all that heavy on the precipitation amounts, but definitely the warm air pushing temperatures in the mid-upper 40s here across south central Alaska, then clearing out with sunshine this afternoon. Winds diminishing and cooler air trying to come in from the southwest. But it's not all that cold. Clearing out here around Kodiak with the rain tapering off, you can see better conditions. This whole mass of moisture lifts northward. Out to the west, next system spreading clouds into the Aleutians and the eastern Aleutians. Main rain area still off to the southwest. Another development right here along this frontal boundary, right in that area. And then the warm front extending up from that kept the rain pretty steady this afternoon over the southern southeast coast. A little more unsteady and showery up to the north and northwest and along the North Gulf Coast, gradually improving, becoming lighter as this whole mess of moisture moves off to the north. Just scattered rain and snow showers back through here. Mostly snow, or all snow, up in the area I've shaded here as snow with, again, the winds St. Lawrence Island gusting 45 miles an hour and reducing visibilities there up to Tin City, especially on the western Arctic coast where the blizzard warning continues through tonight, and then gusts 40 to 45 miles an hour there, even on the eastern stretch of the coastline. A break here occurring, just actually showers have ended over the Pribilofs today with some clearing periods. Alaska Peninsula about the same thing into Bristol Bay. And then the next system here, spreading rain and increasing the winds over the central Aleutian areas over to about Nikolsky. For tonight, this system gets north of the chain by 3 a.m. Saturday morning, and then gale force winds, rain heavy at times for the Alaska Peninsula, beginning to improve late tonight for the eastern Aleutians, but look for wind and rain up to the Pribilof Islands, a mixture into the southwest coast, snow showers over the western interior, pretty scattered here over south central Alaska and the Copper River Basin. Really not much of anything getting in the Tanana Valley north of the Alaska Range, but snow for the southern slopes of the Brooks Range. Blowing snow continues along the Arctic coast in areas, but winds really drop off now for the Bering Strait into St. Lawrence Island, but look for periods of snow to continue there, light snow. And cooler temperatures, snow showers out over the western Aleutians. This low tracks right up off the coast of the Panhandle there. So look for an increase in the winds and could see some moderate to maybe briefly heavy amounts of rainfall here over the southern areas, more mixed up Lynn Canal and Glacier Bay and lighter. And then the outlook for tomorrow, that system right up into Canada, the front slowly edges eastward. Rain continues over the southern areas, dries out back to the northwest. High pressure builds in over the North Gulf Coast, Copper River Basin. Maybe some clearing, definitely precipitation free tomorrow afternoon with light winds, but out to the west, different story. Strong winds, south to north flow again. Temperatures will rise into the mid to upper 30s all the way up across the upper Yukon Delta and probably into Norton Sound, Unalakleet, definitely rising above freezing. Snow on the north side of that front with blowing snow in areas. Strong low here. Quite gusty winds, stormy conditions here for the central Aleutians with rain and then less wind, colder temperatures, and snowfall levels down towards sea level out to the west. Otherwise, here's still some kind of a break occurring here along the Brooks Range there, but then more will push up on Sunday here as this front edges eastward. Still pretty mild southerly flow here, drying out over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. Snow showers late in the day, a little chillier air out here behind this system, but still quite mild for Kodiak and areas up into south central Alaska. But looks like most of the moisture having trouble pushing too far to the east. So look for partly cloudy conditions for the eastern Copper River Basin, eastern North Gulf Coast, right up in toward the Eagle area. And then you start picking up the snow around the Koyukuk Valley areas. Snow and blowing snow once again with this low center pulling up to the Bering Strait from the Seward Peninsula. Kivalina, Point Lay, Point Hope to Cape Lisburne. We'll see the windiest conditions. High pressure, light winds. Look for possible sunshine, Adak and Atka. Edge of the next system still off to the southwest, just making it onto the picture. High pressure will make for a really nice afternoon Sunday for the entire southeast coast. And for lows tonight, upper 30s to mid 40s, quite mild again down that way. Otherwise, falling below freezing here, south central Alaska. A big drop from what we saw this morning. 30 degrees there, the forecast low for Seward. Otherwise, single numbers and teens up to the northeast and staying a little below zero for the Arctic coast. 20s back to the southwest coast. Highs tomorrow afternoon, not much change, a shade below zero for the Arctic coast. Teens, upper Yukon Valley, down to about living good. 20s though for the Fairbanks area. Mid to upper 30s, south central Alaska again, and lower 40s Kodiak, 40 Bristol Bay, 40s for the Panhandle. Lows the following morning on Sunday. Single numbers to maybe 5 below at Northway. No change for the Arctic coast. Mostly in the 20s to lower to mid 30s here in the west and southwest to the Alaska Peninsula. And it looks like highs upper 30s again to near 40 south central Alaska and warmest in the west, chilliest in the east.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Flying weather graphic here shows a lot of IFR from the central Bering Sea right into the southwest coast, Norton Sound, over the Nulato Hills, southern Seward Peninsula, and areas of off to the northeast here along the Brooks Range and just to the south, Kobuk Valley, up toward the northern Susitna Valley. Otherwise, the interior, southern Bering and Aleutians, marginal VFR, marginal for the Panhandle, some IFR down south for the afternoon. Tomorrow, Saturday afternoon, IFR still holding down, but a little less there over the southern southeast coast. VFR here from Sitka on up to Yakutat, Elfin Cove, marginal VFR farther to the east, becoming VFR over the northern part, or Lynn Canal, Glacier Bay areas. Some IFR upslope areas of the Alaska Range, and still a lot of IFR here from Kuskokwim Bay, Cape Newnan, right up into the Bering Strait, eastward, a little ways into the interior, but scooting right up to the southern slopes of the central Brooks Range. Otherwise marginal for the Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, Bristol Bay into Kodiak, and the Kenai Peninsula and Prince William Sound. For Sunday morning, breaking out here, some VFR for the eastern Copper River Basin, north of the Alaska Range into the Tanana Valley, 40-mile country, and IFR, southern slopes of the entire Brooks Range with some VFR on the downslope areas of the central North Slope, eastern eastern Beaufort Sea coast. IFR here down across the Yukon Delta, St. Lawrence Island, marginal from the Pribilofs on down to the Aleutians, and some VFR showing up here in the offshore areas of western Bristol Bay, and then some mostly marginal conditions again, Kodiak Island, south central Alaska, Prince William Sound, and the Aleutians. And for the afternoon, On Sunday, we've got still that band of IFR on the southern slopes of the Brooks Range, VFR north side, and some marginal VFR mainly for the central Arctic coast. IFR still holding here pretty well, entrenched from the Bering Strait right down across St. Lawrence Island, Nunivak Island, Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, and now Togiak Bay into Dillingham and northern Bristol Bay into the southern Kuskokwim Valley, southwest Kodiak Island, and the Pacific side of the Alaska Peninsula. VFR, Adak and Atka, VFR for the Panhandle right up into the eastern interior. Passes tomorrow are Anatuvik, and both Anatuvik and Adigan, IFR at times, mostly throughout the day. Lake Clark and Merrill, marginal VFR, a good bet for rainy as well to be marginal, and windy, marginal VFR, lowest conditions, southern entrance, VFR off to the north. And for Isabel, marginal VFR, Mentasta, same forecast, occasionally marginal. Especially on both southern entrances for those passes. It could be VFR on the north side. Tanita, marginal VFR. Portage, marginal. And Chilcoot and White, IFR to start, becoming marginal definitely into the mid and later part of the afternoon, if not earlier. And for the freezing levels here, quite a gradient here across the Panhandle, to as high as 8,000 feet down toward Dixon entrance. Otherwise, not much out here, 2,000 feet up north of the Fox Islands, Alaska Peninsula, at the surface through Bristol Bay near the Pribilofs, and again hugging the North Gulf Coast. And for icing, this area is starting to shift eastward by afternoon, roughly in this position. Areas of considerable moderate above 10,000 feet there for the Panhandle, otherwise pretty much icing free central eastern interior. Just a threat of some icing there for the North Slope Arctic coastal areas, but better chance here with terrain enhancement. Look for considerable moderate in these areas, otherwise just isolated moderate, all above 6,000 feet. And taking a look at the jet stream, good south to north flow here, some ridging trying to push up, but good flow around that, so it's not going to be actual good strong ridge type of weather, but definitely continued mild here with that strong southerly flow. And from 9,000 feet, southerly 65 knots, right up in 50 to 55 along the coast there, turning west-southwest 35 to 40 into the interior. Northwesterlies on the backside of that low 25 to 45, and 55 knots west-southwesterlies over the southern Panhandle. Those turn northwest at 3,030 to 35 knots, and south 50 knots here into the southwest part of the state, diminishing to 25 knots, 70 knots across the Alaska Peninsula. 55 for the Fox Islands. Turbulence considerable moderate here. Atka Island all the way up to Kodiak, much of the western interior until you get up to the Kobuk, Koyukuk Valley areas. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Dual polarization technology is a major upgrade to the current radar system. It allows forecasters a better idea of what's actually out there and can help keep you safe.
Current radar technology transmits and receives information in the horizontal direction, which is very limited. Dual polarization technology, in addition to the horizontal, transmits and receives vertical energy, which allows forecasters to get information about the size, shape, and phase of the precipitation. We can use that information to better determine the precipitation type to expect at your given location.
There you have it. This new technology is currently being installed in radars across the country and is already being used by National Weather Service forecasters to produce better, more accurate forecasts. Learn more here and follow us. Want to know about the future of weather radar? Well, the National Severe Storms Lab has it here with its new phased array radar. Let's check it out.
It's a non-moving radar. It has 4 faces of the antenna, each pointing in different directions. One of the big advantages is that we're seeing so far, it can sample the area around the radar in less than a minute, maybe even a half a minute. And this is 5-6 times faster than what they can do today.
NSSL is leading the development of future weather radar with this project. Learn more here and follow us. The Storm Prediction Center is one of the NOAA weather partners. They are located in the National Weather Center in Norman, Oklahoma. Greg Carbon gives us a glimpse into what the SPC does.
Our mission is to analyze and forecast severe thunderstorms and the potential for tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds from those thunderstorms across the lower 48 states, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. One of the primary missions of the Storm Prediction Center is the issuance of severe thunderstorm and tornado watches across the country when conditions appear to be coming together to support the development of severe thunderstorms and tornadoes.
The world-class meteorologists in the Storm Prediction Center specialize in severe weather and keeping you safe. Learn more here and follow us.
The National Severe Storms Lab is working on increasing the lead time for severe weather warnings. The national average for tornado warnings is currently 13 minutes, but more notice would be helpful, especially for those in charge of moving large groups to shelter. Warn on Forecast will help forecasters issue hazardous weather warnings earlier. The project will give them more info about the chances of strong winds, large hail, and even tornadoes.
Currently, warnings are created by forecasters looking at the atmosphere outside, understanding its volatility, and then comparing that to how they see the Doppler radar presenting what's going on inside thunderstorms. Warn on Forecast is an idea where we're going to take the massive amounts of satellite, radar, and surface data and stick them all into a very high resolution prediction model. And then by producing new forecasts every 15 or 20 minutes, the forecasters hopefully will be able to use that model to produce warnings that extend out to an hour.
Before the National Weather Service can use this tool, it must be developed and tested. One big challenge will be deciding how to get the model predictions to the forecasters.
I'm going to keep this one very low. I'm just adjusting the track.
These hazardous weather prediction models are going to produce a huge amount of output. And this fire hose of data is just too much for forecasters to handle in real time quickly. So in order to help deal with that, NSSL has developed a related project called Facets. And Facets is the methodology which will enable forecasters to focus very quickly on the most important threats.
Once Warn on Forecast and Facets are proven to be reliable and effective, then forecasters will be better able to inform you of threats nearby. Learn more here and follow us.
The Hazardous Weather Test Bed is located at the National Weather Center in Norman, Oklahoma. It is used for experiments that will allow forecasters to learn and apply new technologies.
The Hazardous Weather Test Bed is a really unique space throughout all of NOAA. And this is where the researchers and the operational folks come together in a common space to solve operational problems and to test new research tools that the research community is working on. The goal is to accelerate the transfer from research to operations of the newest tools and techniques.
People come from around the world to collaborate on this unique project.
We can bring together not only NOAA people, but also university people, faculty, researchers, private sector meteorologists, folks working in other countries in meteorology, forecasters can all come together and focus on what the problem of the day is with the forecasters.
Each spring, several experiments occur in the Hazardous Weather Test Bed. Learn more here and follow us.
What are you looking at? And what are you ignoring? Did you notice the NOAA logo in the corner? Forecasters have a lot of information in front of them too. Every second counts during severe weather, and decisions about where to focus are constantly being made. This could be even more challenging in the future. Phased array radar will produce 4 to 6 times more information than what we have now, which brings us to the question researchers are hoping to answer. Will more radar information affect forecasters' decisions?
From our past experiments, we've learned a lot about how forecasters think during the warning decision process, but we've also learned that those thought processes are very complex, and for that reason, we need a better way to be able to track forecasters' cognitive activity.
Inbounds and possibly golf ball sized hail.
An eye tracker is a piece of technology that is used to determine in real time where someone's eye gaze is located. And these eye trackers are typically video-based, which means a camera sits below a computer monitor, and with infrared light and vector analysis, we can determine where a person is looking and how their eyes are moving.
Eye tracking is already being used in the medical field and air traffic control. Using similar research methods, NSSL is discovering the benefit for weather forecasting too. Phased array radar will give forecasters a lot more to think about. Understanding their decision-making process will help researchers develop even more user-friendly tools. So what's the benefit for you? Even better weather warnings. To learn more, check us out online and follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Today's sea ice analysis looks something like this. Ice edge almost out there to St. Matthew Island, the lighter stuff anyway. The heavier stuff still a ways back to the east. And really not a lot of change down here off the southwest coast, south of Nunivak Island, up into Bristol Bay. And for the coastal water forecast, southeast coast, northwest, 25 to 30 knots all along the coastline tomorrow, with seas 12 to 17 feet. Southeast, 25 to 30 knots here for the central southern inside waters. Light northerlies there for Lynn Canal. And then for the outlook on Sunday, much lighter winds in store all along the coastline, even the inside waters. We've got variable at 10 knots for the inside waters, seas down to 2 feet, except 5 feet clearance straight. And north winds at 10 with 11-foot seas on the south coast, and west to variable winds here for the north coast with seas 8 to 10 feet. And for Prince William Sound, south winds 10 knots, pretty light winds tomorrow for the Sound there. Southwest 15 for the eastern North Gulf Coast, about 20 knots farther to the west. Southerlies 25 for the Barren Islands, Kamishak Bay south 30. Small craft advisories all the way up to the Forelands, and then down to 15 for Northern Cook Inlet. Sunday, east at 10 or light and variable for Northern Cook Inlet, southeast 25 here for the areas south of the Forelands, and then 30 knots. So small craft advisories again here across Kamishak Bay, Southern Cook Inlet, the Barrens, western North Gulf Coast, all out of the southeast. 20 knots here for the eastern coast, and east at 10 for Prince William Sound. Kodiak Island, south winds 30 knots, seas 7 to 12 feet. Full gales here southwest of Sitkinak, and then those turn into storms from Castle Cape to Cape Sarachev here on the Pacific side of the peninsula. 40 knots out of the south on the north side. Southeast gales for Bristol Bay. Outlook for Sunday, southeast small craft advisory winds there for Bristol Bay. Otherwise small crafts here for the Alaska Peninsula, south-southwest 25 to 30. Seas still up to around 19 feet. And 30 knots there up southwest of Sitkinak. East 25 on the east side of Kodiak Island, Shelikof Strait, call it southeast, 25 knots. And for the western Aleutians, light winds out there tomorrow, north 20 west of Amchitka Island, and then those pick up about 30 knots, and then up to 40 knots here south of the Adak-Yatka area. Then south to southwest, 40 or 30 to 45 knots here for the Fox Islands. For Alaska Island, more in that 40 to 45 knot range. And then for Sunday, westerlies, 25 to 30 knots here for the eastern Aleutians. Central Aleutians, lighter winds, west at 20, kind of coming down throughout the afternoon and swinging around to the east and increasing to 30 knots from the southeast for the area from Kiski to Shemya. Southwest coast, full gales here south of Nunivak Island, southeast 40 knots, 13-foot seas. South 25 for the Pribilof, seas at 13 feet. East turning northeast at 30 here for the northern Bering Sea, and northeast 25 for St. Lawrence Island. And then look for south winds at 30 knots. St. Lawrence Island, Norton Sound turning southwest here north of Nunivak Island, and then northwest at 30 for St. Matthew Island. Southerlies at 35 here off the southwest coast, and for the Pribilofs, northwest at 20 with seas still up around 16 feet. And for the eastern Boulevard Sea coast, east winds 25 knots, got brisk wind advisories all along the coastline here, all the way down to Cape Thompson. And then from Cape Thompson down to Wales, north at 20. And for the Sunday outlook, pretty consistent winds here, uniform pattern, east 30 for the entire coastline, again with brisk wind advisories now all the way down to Wales. Looking at tonight again, we've got maybe isolated snow showers here, southern Alaska, even to Kodiak Island. A little more numerous back here west of the Alaska Range and northwest with this weakening low. Blizzard warning continues tonight for the western Arctic coast, and winter weather advisories tonight for the Alaska Range and the Yukon Delta, as well as the areas southern slopes of the Brooks Range or Kobuk, Koyukuk valleys. Another storm, wind, rain coming back into the Alaska Peninsula, Bristol Bay, southeastern Bering Sea. A low brings possibly moderate to heavy rain into the southern panhandle tonight, at least briefly, nothing too serious. And a little bit of an increase in the winds, but lighter stuff up to the north. For tomorrow, high pressure, nice conditions, Copper River Basin, 40-mile country, central, eastern, upper Tanana Valley. Rain continues, but dries out up to the north here across the panhandle. This system, another push of warm wind coming up with gale force winds and temperatures rising into the upper 30s, and then that slowly edges east on Sunday.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.